Hi, in this video, we're just going to briefly go over a couple of other marks you're going to want to be aware of when we're reading Edit Greek. So we'll put these all with respect to alpha, except for the two punctuation marks at the end here. These actually will all almost exclusively go with, vowels. So the first one is a rough breathing mark. So it's hard to keep separate from the smooth breathing mark because it's the same thing, just backwards of each other. This always goes over vowels, and it goes over nearly always goes over vowels. It goes over initial letters in words to indicate a sort of an H sound, a H sound before it. When there are diphthongs or two vowels, that are pronounced as one, like, so for example, if you have alpha and Yoda, it's pronounced I. We'll go over the second one. And when there is a capital letter at the beginning, it will go right in front of the capital letter as opposed to, or rather than on the letter itself. The same goes with the smooth breathing mark. All it marks is that there's no H sound at the beginning of the word. So you can come up with a clever way to remember this, which one's the rough breathing mark and which one's the smooth breathing mark. Again, it's kind of hard because they're just the opposite of each other. But if you say you're reading from left to right, maybe you imagine if wind were going this way, this would make more noise than that one. This one would catch the air, whereas this one would make noise as the air goes across it. You can think of things like that. Cute little ways to remember it, but the important thing is that eventually you practice some reading, and when you practice reading a little while, you will pretty easily remember them. The next one is the Yoda subscript. It looks like a Yoda right under the vowel. It only goes on long vowels. So if you see this, then the vowel it's on is a long vowel. Historically, this meant that there was a slight off glide to the vowel. So this would have historically been pronounced I. This died away almost certainly pretty early in the history of ancient Greek. I'll generally try to give it a small off glide because it helps me to remember words that have them, but most people don't pronounce them. So they'll pronounce this exactly the same. It's just a nice reminder that this is a long vowel, especially for texts without macrons. The next one is a macron. This marks a long vowel. Not all texts will mark long vowels, so that's something to remember. And so beware of that. Just because there's no macron doesn't mean it's not a long vowel. If there are macrons in a text and a vowel does not have one, it's a pretty good sign that it's not a long vowel, though. This next marking here denotes a short vowel. You'll see this most often in dictionaries. Generally, if a text wants to wants to tell you that there is a short vowel, what will happen is the text will just mark all the long vowels, and it's assumed that if it's not an eta or an omega, and there's no macron over the vowel, that it's a short vowel. So you'll see this more often in dictionaries. Then finally, we've got these two sort of punctuation marks. This denotes a question mark. It's a semicolon, but it will denote in Greek texts a question mark, and this will denote a colon. So like if there's a list of things following. So it's different, obviously, than English usage. We will also use periods pretty commonly. So just be aware of that. These two markings, and also these ones over here, are not ancient Greek mark. I should say that they're not markings that occur in very, very ancient texts. In fact, really none of these occur in really ancient texts. The Yoda subscript is just a Yoda in very old texts. And all of these developed gradually over time. There was a time when it was just there weren't even spaces in texts. It was just a string of letters. Then gradually, all of these signs started cropping up to aid the reader. So you will see texts without any of these in them. If you read manuscripts, like original manuscripts, and you will see texts with all of these in them, and it's just important to know what they are. Additionally, there's one other sort of thing. You will see every once in a while a diereses, denoting that two vowels next to each other, one of them will have a diereses over it. This just means that they're not to be pronounced as a diphthong, and to be pronounced as separate vowels. So if you saw, for example, alpha, Yoda, diereses, it would be I instead of I. So 2 syllables instead of 1. That's it for this video. It's a pretty simple subject, so that'll hopefully just help you to read texts a little bit more easily.